In the dim, dust-choked arena of the rural livestock auction, where the air hung heavy with the scent of hay and desperation, a weary cow named Daisy was dragged into the ring. Her flanks heaved with exhaustion, and fresh blood still trickled from her body, a stark reminder of the calf she'd birthed just hours before in a cold, unforgiving stall. The crowd murmured, their eyes appraising her like a piece of machinery, flawed, spent, barely worth the bother. But Daisy, with her soft brown eyes clouded by pain, lifted her head just enough to meet the gaze of the strangers, silently pleading for mercy in a world that rarely offered it. Daisy had known better days on a sprawling farm in the heart of Texas, where green pastures rolled under endless blue skies. She was no prize heifer, just a simple Holstein who'd given milk and laughed without complaint. Her owner, a man hardened by droughts and debts, had seen her pregnancy as one last chance to turn a profit. The birth had been brutal. Her calf ripped away moments after it hit the ground, sold separately to the highest bidder. Now, still raw and bleeding, Daisy stood on trembling legs, the auctioneer's hammer poised like a judge's gavel. "Starting bid low, folks, this one's fresh off the drop, but she's got 5 left," he barked, his voice echoing off the metal walls. The bids came slow and stingy. Ranch hands and farmers shook their heads, muttering about her weakness, her age. "Too much trouble," one said. "She'll be down in a week." Daisy's heart, if cows could be said to have one that ached like a human's, sank deeper. In her mind's eye, she remembered the warmth of her calf's first nuzzle, the instinctive pull to protect and nurture. But here, in this cacophony of shouts and stamps, she was reduced to numbers on a ledger. The world felt vast and cruel, a place where kindness was as rare as rain in a parched summer. Among the crowd sat Elias Thorne, a weathered rancher in his late 60s, his face etched with lines from years under the relentless sun. Elias wasn't like the others. He'd built his modest spread in the rolling hills outside Amarillo not for fortune, but for solace. Widowed young, childless, he'd found family in the animals he tended, horses that roamed free, goats that followed him like shadows. He came to auctions not to buy stock, but to save what he could from the slaughterhouse's shadow. Today, something in Daisy's eyes caught him, a flicker of resilience amid the brokenness. It reminded him of his late wife, Sarah, who'd fought cancer with quiet grace until the end. "Everyone deserves a second chance," she'd whispered once, her hand in his. As the bid stalled at a pittance, Elias raised his hand. 200, he called, his voice steady but firm. The auctioneer blinked, surprised. Whispers rippled through the crowd, "Who would pay that for a half-dead cow?" A younger bidder countered, seeing an opportunity to flip her for meat. Elias bid again, higher. The back and forth escalated, tension building like a storm on the horizon. Daisy's ears perked at the unfamiliar tone in Elias's voice, not greed, but determination. Finally, with a grudging nod, the rival dropped out. "Sold to the gentleman in the back," the auctioneer declared, slamming the hammer. The drive back to Elias's ranch was a blur for Daisy. Tit-tit gently in the trailer, she swayed with each bump on the dusty road, her body screaming for rest. She expected the worst, a new pen, endless milking, perhaps a weekend if she couldn't produce. But when they arrived at the sun-dappled acres, Elias led her not to a barn, but to a shaded paddock overlooking a sparkling creek. He removed the halter with careful hands, murmuring soft words. "Easy now, girl. Jure home." Confusion washed over her, this wasn't like any place she'd known. No brass, no shouts. Just open space and the distant lowing of other cows, free and content. That night, as stars blanketed the Texas sky, Elias sat on his porch, nursing a cup of black coffee. He'd spent the afternoon tending to Daisy's wounds, applying salves and ensuring she had fresh water and hay. But his mind wandered to the calf. A quick call to the auction house revealed its fate, sold to a dairy farm miles away, destined for the same cycle of exploitation. Elias couldn't shake the image of Daisy's sorrowful eyes. "It ain't right," he muttered to the empty night. The next morning, before dawn, he hitched up his truck and drove through the awakening countryside, his resolve hardening like the earth after frost. The dairy farm was a stark contrast, rows of confined animals, the air thick with mechanized hums. Elias approached the owner, a burly man wiping sweat from his brow. "That calf from yesterday's auction, the one from the bleeding Holstein. I'll buy it back." The man laughed at first, quoting an inflated price. But Elias, with savings from years of frugal living, met it without flinching. "Why bother?" the owner asked, pocketing the cash. "It's just livestock." Elias paused, his eyes distant. "Because sometimes, saving one life reminds us we're all connected. Human or not." Back at the ranch, the reunion was the unexpected turn that shattered Daisy's world. Elias carried the squirming calf into the paddock, setting it down gently. At first, Daisy froze, her nostrils flaring as the familiar scent hit her. Then, with a low, rumbling moo that echoed across the fields, she rushed forward. The calf nuzzled against her, instinctively seeking nourishment. Tears welled in Elias's eyes as he watched, a profound realization dawning. In this act of selflessness, he'd healed not just Daisy, but a piece of his own fractured soul. Sarah would have been proud. The world, so often indifferent, could still bend toward compassion. As days turned to weeks, Daisy thrived. Her wounds healed, her milk flowed freely for her calf alone. Elias named the little one Hope, a symbol of what one person's kindness could spark. He never milked Daisy, never worked her. Instead, she roamed his sanctuary, joining a herd of rescued animals, each with their own stories of near misses and second chances. Visitors came sometimes, locals drawn by whispers of the crazy old rancher who bought to set free. Elias would share Daisy's tale, his voice cracking with emotion. "We all bleed sometimes," he'd say. "But it's the hands that lift us up that make the difference." In the quiet moments, as sunset painted the ranch in gold, Daisy would stand tall, her calf at her side. She no longer feared the auction's shadow. Instead, she embodied a truth as vast as the American plains: kindness isn't a weakness, it's the strongest force we have. It bridges divides, mends the broken, and reminds us that in a world quick to auction off the vulnerable, one act of humanity can rewrite the ending. And in that, there's hope for us all, not just in Texas, but everywhere hearts beat with the rhythm of empathy. Elias, watching from afar, knew he'd bought more than a cow that day. He'd reclaimed a piece of the world's goodness, proving that selflessness isn't about what you get, but what you give away freely. And in giving, we all find freedom.